बताइएगा। Start करें? Okay. Good afternoon once again. Welcome back to the class of consumer behavior. Today we are going to start, or we already started block number 4 of consumer behavior, and this is your last block. So in this, if you guys can recapitulate, yesterday we spoke about the buying process. I hope you remember this thing. And in that we discussed problem recognition and information, source of information. Now today we'll start with the information processing. I have been telling you since my first class onwards that an individual on an average every day is bombarded by 50,000 of messages from different sources. When he goes out, when he watches a TV, he or she reads newspaper, there are all sorts of information there, messages there. Now, as we all know, that brain is an amazing invention done by God, and He has given to us a kind of blessing. But still, 50,000 messages, it becomes a bit of difficulty in order to process, in order to understand all these messages. So in this we'll talk about that what are the ways and how we do about selecting the information, selecting the messages which are best fitted for me and for my requirement and my need. So moving ahead, look at this. As I have been talking about it, that we are bombarded with many messages, and these messages, they act as a stimulus or stimuli. So it becomes very important to understand, to see the things which are important as per my need, as per my problem, and accordingly I should make a choice out of those hordes of messages. So moving ahead, look at this. We spoke about concept of information processing. In this slide, we'll talk about, I hope you are aware of the term called information. Information is like the knowledge, the ideas, the views, what you gather or what you see around you. When I say around you, I mean the environment in which you are working. Very good. Now, when I talk about the information processing, now here I would like to say this term stands for, I have got all the information, the ideas, the views, what we just discussed from different sources. But which one is best for me? Or which one is as per my need, as per my requirement? If you see, the last point has got two terms, two words, information and processing. Information I have got. Now, in order to get the best information suited for my problem, I should process Process means I should pick and choose. Our human mind is something like the computer. A computer has got different parts, like starting from CPU, we have got monitor, we have got RAM, ROM, and so hence and so forth. The same goes with the brain. So, as per my requirement, what I require, my brain is going to pick and choose only those information out of those 50,000 information which is viable or which is good for me. As plain as that. And how a brain does this thing? Brain does this thing because it is wired in that way. It takes help of the information what we have stored there, and accordingly it acts. So we understood we are talking about the third part of buying process. We understood the definition of information. We also understood the concept of information processing. Processing is very simple. Out of the lot, I need to pick and choose my information, my knowledge, which is relevant to me as of now, because I'm having some problem. So those informations are relevant to me, which I have stored in my mind because of my experience, because of my learning, because of surrounding, whatever the sources may be. But my brain is going to do this thing. Moving ahead, look at this. Now, the other term called exposure. Tomorrow, somebody would ask you, what exactly you understand by exposure as far as consumer behavior subject is concerned. So we all know human beings, we have got five sensory organs. So exposure means the degree, the magnitude to which an individual notices the various stimulus or stimuli within the range of their sensory organs. Fair enough? It means wherever I am going, I would be having a finite, a limited range where I can see things, where I can touch, where I can hear. So exposure means that magnitude, that degree, that point, kind of, the quantity which my sensory organs can receive and react to it, that becomes exposure. That is the definition of exposure. Now, you all know what happens. For example, if I don't have a pair of jeans, I am talking about this example. I need informations, I need messages which has to do with that. So, a model advertising on a billboard when I go out for my college or on a TV, I will focus on that because that's my problem as of now, and I will ignore the remaining messages. So this is the job done by our brain, which is important to me. The brain will pick and choose that. That is the way how brain functions, because brain understands these things and it tries to help us. It has been wired in such a way to help us to survive, to exist. So it gives you this information which is relevant to you. So exposure, we understood the magnitude, the degree to which my sensory organs can receive or can react to various stimuli. That is called the exposure. I hope this is clear. We'll move further. Attention. Now we understood the exposure part. Now the attention part. These are the certain terms you must be aware. Now my sensory organs can sense multiple loads of stimuli. But is it possible, humanly possible, that I should focus or I have to focus, or I will focus on each and every exposure and each and every stimuli? No. It is not humanly possible. So attention is the degree to which consumer focus on stimuli within the range of exposure. It talks about the degree to which I pay attention to all those stimuli. It cannot be all those, but to the stimuli which is important to me within my exposure area. Now, I am staying in India. I cannot react to something which is happening in, let's say, Europe, unless I see the news. Or there are ways by which I have been, I have been told about certain things which is happening. For an example, a war between Russia and Ukraine. It is almost no more than a year. So I know about these things, so I can react to it. So when that becomes my exposure area, but do I really need to focus on it? Maybe yes, because I'm very much concerned about the world and I'm concerned about the peace in the world. So it becomes important. So attention is the degree to which I pay attention to, or which I pay focus on the exposed area. And look, it is very, very important. And why advertisers and marketers, they are getting creative day by day, because they also understand this thing that any individual is, like is troubled by so many messages. So if I, or if my messages or my advertisement doesn't stand out from the crowd, customer or market will not pay attention to it. So you need to be very, very unique in your approach. Otherwise, you will become a victim of Me Too brand advertisement or Me Too product. Me Too means everyone is doing the same thing, so I'm also doing the same thing. So what happens on the basis of 5 P's or even 7 P's, if I talk about service marketing? They try to make your product or make their product unique. It can be in pricing, it can be product, it can be promotion, it can be packaging, in whatever way. They like to make their product unique so that the market should pay attention to it. Example, what I can think of, some luxury brand, so clothing or bags. Now these companies, they charge a lot of money. Coco Chanel or Louis Vuitton or Prada, you name it, Gucci. They charge a lot of money because the pricing that sets them apart, because 99% people cannot afford it. So if someone wants to buy it, obviously, once he buys it, he feels different from the crowd. So this is the entire focus of a market here. Because in marketing, they say out of sight, out of mind. If you are not seeing that thing and if your brain is not noticing that uniqueness of that advertisement, of that product or services, trust me, the market will not pay attention. And the market, this is not fault of the market, but fault of all the advertisers who are bombarding an individual with loads of messages. So we understood about the information. We also spoke about information processing. We spoke about exposure, what exactly it is, and attention also. So tomorrow, if somebody asks you that why it is important for a marketer to get the attention of the prospective buyer, kindly explain. So I am sure you can answer this thing. Moving ahead. Now, what exactly is comprehension? These are the terms we must understand because this is the process. By this process, the informations are processed. The information, the viable, the valid informations are picked and chosen for the problem if somebody is facing it. Now, comprehension means we understood the exposure, attention. Now, comprehension stands when a consumer or when an individual puts some meaning to any stimuli or any stimulus which he has been exposed to and he has paid attention. Take an example again, a pair of jeans. I'm telling you this thing because we have understood about it. Now I need a pair of jeans and I have focused that this, I need it. So now I put in meaning to it. Okay, fine. I can see a brand called Levi's or Wrangler. So this brand is good. It is good for me. It is within my budget, so I will go and buy it. So here put a meaning. Meaning means this pant is good, this brand is good, price is within my range, I'm going to make a purchase. So it becomes an important feature in the process of gathering or processing information. So that's why you would be seeing companies, advertisers coming up with catchy punch. Price is within my range, I'm going to make a purchase. Take an example of LG. So life is good, though it's not an expansion of LG. An important feature. Expansion of LG is Lucky Gold Star, a Korean company. South gathering or processing information. So that's Vimal. If I talk about the Apple brand, coming up with catchy the complete map. So whenever somebody talks about the complete map, example of LG, the connection, life is the brand connect is immediately with the expansion of LG. So when you are putting some money, some meaning to it, and in order to put meaning to it, you need to have paid attention to that thing. So that's why this is an important role of advertiser or marketer to use certain words, certain lingo, which is easy to be comprehended, which is easy to understand, and it should be taken up by consumer immediately. So the creativity lies over there also. Now, as I have been telling you, you can only attach meaning to certain stimuli when you are exposed and you have paid attention based on your own experience, on the information which you have stored in your mind, because mind is going to dish out, going to fish out the valid information from that stock. So that's why it becomes very, very important. So when a company talks about brand loyalty, when a company talks about that we have been existing in the market for since last 100 years, they are trying to give you, they are trying to make you to give certain meaning that we are old in this business. And your parents, your grandparents were our customers. So that you can simply give or attach meaning to it. So that makes job of a marketeer very, very easy. We are talking about, again, just to remind you, processing of information as a part of buying process. I hope this is clear. Moving ahead. Now, what exactly is this? Acceptance and yielding. Again, a part of this thing. Now, acceptance means your swikar karna. You are accepting certain stimuli because that is as per your understanding. It has got a positive connotation. So that becomes an acceptance. And once you accept that, once you agree to that stimulus or a set of stimuli, it means you have got a favorable disposition towards that product and services, and chances are fair enough that you are going to make a purchase. So when you talk about We have spoken about the exposure, attention. We spoke about acceptance of those stimulus. If I accept, in a sense, if I agree to those stimulus which company is trying to send it to me. So once I agree to those stimulus, it is as good as making a purchase. And you must also remember this thing that whatever I do on the basis of my past experience, my learning, my views, my opinions, which has been stored in my brain. So you understood about acceptance, or you call it as a yielding also. Okay, so we'll move ahead. Now retention, we all know. You all know this term which comes from retain. It means that whatever I have got, like a stimulus, or the experience what I have got, let's say with a product or some services, I am remembering this thing. I have retained those information, because once the information is there, it becomes an easy job of a brain to fish out the valid information if I need it. And this is very, very vital for a company, that customer must retain the information, or retain the stimulus which will further help the consumer to build his or her approach or attitude towards the company, towards the product and the services. So once I have been exposed, I have given my attention, then I have I have yielded, I have accepted that thing, and then finally it comes to retention, which again has to do with the long-term memory, because it's not there, the brain will not be able to help you out when there is a case of making a purchase, when you are facing a problem. So I hope this is clear. We'll move further. Now, what are the other influencing factors that helps or that plays a part in processing the information? First thing first, your demographic. Your age, sex, gender, education, income, occupation. These things, they help you to process the information. The second is psychographic factors, the way you think, your attitude, your belief system. That also plays a role in influencing the process of information processing. And the third is the information characteristic themselves. Whatever information an advertiser or marketer is sending it to me, whatever stimulus they are sending it to me, what is the nature, what is the character of those messages? How uniquely they are designed, they are presented. This also influences this information processing. Fourth factor is the cultural environment. Very important. You all know, we have already spoken about the culture. The culture means the way you live your life. So, my cultural or subculture characteristic will also influence. They also have a role to play in the information processing. If I'm not very much attuned to certain things in my culture, If I'm not used to certain things in my culture, I will not be able to accept it. I'll not pay attention. For example, I'm a vegetarian, I'm a vegan. Now, if KFC or a McD advertising, let's say, a chicken buffet or a non-veg buffet, I will not be very much receptive because I don't eat chicken, so there is no point in focusing that or in accepting that those SMS, those messages. And finally, the media, the mode which is presenting or which is relaying that messages. I will always trust a media or a mode which is reliable, which is respected in the society, rather than believing in something in some media which are completely unethical or flimsy company who are into, let's say, providing tantalizing news. I'm not going to believe that. So even these things, the five factors, have got a lot of role to play as far as influencing the entire information processing process. So we understood over here the exposure part, the attention, yielding, retention, influencing factor. So what are the exactly the application of information processing? You may ask. Sorry, it's great you have been telling me all these things, and I should be knowing about the different terminology. But how it is used in marketing? I would like you to read this thing. Meanwhile, I will have a gulp of water. So when I talk about implication, there are certain things which is very vital if you have to get attention of a consumer, which I have been talking about, the way you present your messages, the way you design it, the environment or the sources through which you are relaying the message. It also talks about, this also helps me framing my values, my relationship. And if there is a fault, there is a nuisance in the relaying process, in the messages, then it will distort, it will tarnish, it will destroy the entire objective of advertisers and marketers. Because consumers will not be, I have told you, consumers are bombarded with messages, they will not be able to figure out if your message is not loud and clear and unique in approach, unique in property. So this is the way how information processing helps or affects marketing per se. So you should be, or a marketer should be very, very careful about this thing. Also, consumers should be very, very picky and choosy because as I have got a lot of messages. I don't need to pay attention to all those messages. I'll only pick and choose the messages which are relevant to me. So this is the marketing implication of information processing. And finally, if we have to summarize this thing in Unit 13, we'll talk about, here we spoke about the information, the processing part, and what exactly is the definition of information processing. What are the stages of this information processing? We spoke about exposure, attention, interpretation, acceptance, or yielding and attention. We also spoke about the its implication, marketing implications affect on this information processing. So if a marketeer or an advertiser follows these things, what you just mentioned, uniqueness in their approach, a well conceptualized messages, they will be successful in showcasing their uniqueness, and I'm sure the market will take notice of it and they will make a purchase. So with this, we have finished up unit number 13, that is about information processing. Now we'll move to unit number 14. Look at this. You remember the buying processes? The buying process. I beg your pardon, it's not processes. Now here we'll talk about alternative evaluation in buying decision. Now, marketers in today's time, the world has become such a competitive place that for every product and services, there are competition. There would be alternatives available to you. It can be in terms of price, it can be features, attributes, availability, you name it. So here we'll talk about the alternative evaluation of buying decisions, what are the methods involved into it. So let's begin. The questions are very valid. You can always ask, or if somebody asks you, "Okay, how you tell me, how you decide on what basis, or do you have some parameters to choose a brand, or do you have the parameters to reject something or to accept some brand? On what parameters you do that? Or what happens when there are two products or two brands or similar features of similar attributes? How you are going to accept one, how you are going to reject another? What are your parameters? What are the filtration process? So consumer, if you see the market uses different kind of evaluation techniques. Again, on the basis of my information, which is stored in my brain, on the basis of that, my learning, my past experiences, I make a choice. If, again, it also depends upon the nature of the product. If I'm buying a product on a regular basis, like grocery items, convenience product, what we call it from marketing, in marketing jargon, marketing lingo, like sugar, tea. So in there, like, my evaluation criteria would not be, would not be many. I know the place, I go and buy it because I have been buying those things regularly. But again, if there is a high involvement buyout, a home, life insurance, a car, there I use a different kind of, the word is plethora. It means many kinds of evaluation techniques to evaluate that which is the best or which is the best I should go for while making a purchase. This becomes very, very vital. Moving ahead, look at this. There are four components. There are, on a broader term, there are four components on which or which becomes evaluation criteria for selecting the best for the purchase. First is product attributes or different alternatives. When I talk about attributes, I am talking about the features. I am talking about the features of the product. If I'm using a soap, what does it give me? Does it give me freshness? Does it lather much? Lather means the foam part. Or does it smell good? Or does it last long? On the basis of that, now if I need, somebody is approaching, if I need, let's say, freshness in my approach, freshness after I bathe, maybe I will buy a lime soap, something like Synthol or L'Oreal. Still, it's winter time, so I need a soap which has got moisturizer. So maybe Dove or glycerine, maybe Pierce, both from HUL, Hindustan Unilever Limited. So there I am going to compare what exactly want. The second says utility functions of each attribute. Utility means the usage. The usage of those brands. Can I carry, let's say, uh, if I am in North India, so I am using Pierce soap. Now, will that Pierce soap be useful if I travel south? I'm not sure about it. Because in south it's summertime. So maybe I need a soap which has got lime. So on the basis of utility, I will do a evaluation. Third point is importance weights of attributes. I have told you that a soap might be having freshness, might be lasting long, the price factor, the presentable factors. So it's a choice of the consumer that how much points or what is the rating I should attribute to all those features. For me, freshness is important. So I will give, let's say, out of 1 to 5, I'll give 5. Price is not important to me. 1. It should smell good. 3 or 4. So on the basis of that, I will rate different products in the same category and then I will make a pick. And the fourth is the belief about that product, about that brand, or about the company. I know that this brand is being used by people, has been used by family members, and they are very happy with it. So I will continue with it. Or there are good reviews. There are good reviews about the product. And I must evaluate other brands on the basis of it. So what is the belief about that brand, about the company? There are companies which are not using, let's say, any synthetic material. And I would like to buy something which is natural, which is organic. So I will go for those products. So on a broader term, मोटा मोटी जिसको कहते हैं कि on the 4 parameters we are going to, or we evaluate, we do an alternative evaluation because I have to make a purchase. I cannot go and buy all 4 or 5 brands because that is not going to serve my purpose. That will be surplus. So why I spend my time, spend my energy, spend my money there? I need only one because that is sufficient for my job, but I will pick the best. So we understood about the 4 components. Now we'll move ahead. Now look at this. Formation of brand sets for alternative evaluation. Now this is important. It talks about that there are how many brands. It's written over there. Alternative evaluation is a decision of how many brands as alternatives will engage the consideration of consumer. To take an example, if I don't have any alternative, now this entire unit of doing alternative evaluation doesn't hold any sense, doesn't make any sense. There must be alternatives available, and I'm sure, except defense and few others, if I have to say about India, when I say defense, when I'm talking about from the perspective of Indian government as a buyer of defense equipments, now I have become exporter also. So every Industry has competition. So I need to understand that which are the brands available which are ready to fulfill my whims and fancies, which are ready to, which are engaging my requirement. So when you start, when you have got a problem and you are looking for the information, you will figure out. You will figure out that how many brands are there. So by this thing, it also helps a marketeer that how your brand is performing vis-a-vis your competition. It talks about, or marketeer will get the knowledge that is your brand being retained, or do people remember the name of your brand? Again, vis-a-vis the competition. And if they are not able to remember it, what more I should do? What more should I do so that it should get registered? My brands, my offering should get registered with the consumer mindset. And that should be on the top recall. If somebody has to recall, if I go and I want to buy, let's say, a toothpaste, excuse me, because of my information stored in my brain, my experience, my learning, I simply go and I purchase, let's say, Colgate or Pepsodent. But if Colgate and Pepsodent are not on the top of the mind of a customer, then it becomes an issue for the company. Because again, I told you, in a human brain, an individual is bombarded with 50,000 messages every day. So if I am not over there, the brain will not figure out. And maybe I will not be purchased. So I need to be among top 3, 4 brands which a customer can recall. And this helps a marketeer. This helps a brand from falling from falling you know in the areas of where people are not aware about certain brands. So this also helps the present of brand which are ready to engage your interest, which you come to know during time of your information search. And from a marketer perspective, it becomes important because they understand, or they see, they check the strength of the brand, how people are aware about it. They also try to safeguard through this process, to safeguard their brand from in falling among the clutter which customer don't pay attention to. So I hope this is clear. Here we are talking about alternative evaluation as a part of the buying process. We'll move. Look at this, the choice making rule. The first word is uninitiated person. It means people who are not aware or who don't have the knowledge of consumer behavior or the purchasing process. And they simply believe like, consumer, they don't follow any rules, any procedure, and they make a purchase only there on their gut feel. No, it's not there. Even though it doesn't show, but consumers have patterns. And in that, brain helps them on certain parameters with certain rules and regulation, and their customers make choices of purchasing a product or services. And again, time and again, I have been telling you, this is based, we are talking about the choice making rules. And this is done so on the basis of the information, on the basis of the ability of the brand, on parameters we just spoke about, four parameters. Customer or consumer, they make a choice of purchasing. And this choice can differ from product to product, from service to service. I give you an example of a convenience shopping and with a luxury shopping. But whatever choice happens, again happens with the help of the information what brain processes out and helps me in purchasing. So this is known as choice rules. We'll see further what exactly we have got. The basic choice heuristic. Now you must be wondering what is this word heuristic means. Heuristic is something, let's say, a shortcut of thinking and acting. I'll make it simpler. I was talking about the toothpaste thing, right? Now I go to a supermarket and I pick up simply Colgate. Reason being, I don't have so much of time to see the content. If I am a regular purchaser, then I might not see the things at all. Max, I will see a date of expiry and manufacture. I'm not going to check the ingredients. I'm not going to check the company which is making it because I already know. It's all stored in my brain. But if I am new to it, if I'm buying something new, then I might see. So the heuristic means the shortcut which brains gives you. You simply go and pick it up. Otherwise, if you're making a new purchase, then it will take at least 10 minutes to see everything. So in order to make your living easier, brain has got this kind of shortcut, something like computer. On your desktop, you can create a shortcut to any file. Now there are 5 choice rules by which the brain or through which brain works. If you see this after referral heuristic, conjunctive heuristic, lexicography, compensatory, disjunctive heuristic. In these, everything what is involved after referral heuristic, you have already used it. So you don't have to again pay the attention. You simply go and pick it up. Now others there would be something like there are 2 brands. I want to pick the best brand on certain attributes. So I simply pick it, I will reject the other. So these are the shortcuts or heuristic approach which helps your choice while you are making a purchase. Now somebody will say something again I don't want to see, or I am going to pay attention to only the attributes of those brands which I need to buy. So more the brand points, more ranked attributes are, higher ranks attributes are, that will be my choice of purchase. So again, to explain this thing, heuristic means a shortcut which brain creates and that helps in your action, because that is actually related to your cognition, your thinking part, the part which you have stored in your brain. And these are some choices. What do you do and how you go about it? I hope this is clear. Now look at this. The marketing response to the choice heuristic. Now, as we all know that marketeers, they don't want to leave any stone unturned. They don't want to leave any stone unturned while tapping the consumer. Now, on the basis of the choice tool and the complexities of those choice tools, marketeers they use different kind of methods. As I said, the entire job is to sell my product because if I sell the product, then only I can get money. So first thing is relying on a product signal, how the product is acting, is behaving. Signal means I go over there and I see on the shelf the brands which are displayed. So that makes my job easier. Because again, if I don't see a product, how I'm going to decide? So if I talk about a new brand launching or new product launching, the sales force of that brand always ensure that in retail outlet, I should get the front shelf space. And for that, they are ready to pay the money also. Because the moment I see this thing, obviously, I will come and it gets registered in my brain. And again, the brain starts processing the information. And maybe, hopefully, I'll make a purchase. Second is market belief as heuristic. I told you. Again, heuristic is a shortcut thing. Market belief. This product is amazing. This is an organic product. If you eat it, this is healthy. These are the beliefs which acts as a heuristic, a shortcut method. Anything organic, I don't mind buying it because I'm sure that would be better than any synthetic product because that would be natural. So the moment I see anything natural, obviously my first priority would be that. Price as heuristic, very, very important. I know I'm very cost effective, let's say, a human being. My approach is that I should buy certain things which will be not very costly, and I should get the best out of it. So maybe in the same industry, there would be a couple of brands. Some would be priced higher, some would be lower. But I will go with the brand, with the product, which has got a reasonable price and which is as per my budget. So the moment I see the price, I don't need to see other brands, other products. Because again, heuristic means brain will simply give the signal that fine, this is a product which you can buy and purchase. And the last is brand name as heuristic. You know, if I talk about the definition of brand, American Marketing Association says a brand is a name, a symbol, a logo, or anything of that sort, which differentiate one product from another and also gives a promise to deliver the best result to the user. But if you ask me in a very simple term, brand is the summation of tangible benefits plus intangible benefits. Tangible, which I can touch, we can see. I buy, let's say, an iPhone. The iPhone, the camera is amazing. The system cannot be hacked. That's a tangible thing. Intangible, the brand name, the status symbol. Oh, this man is carrying an iPhone. Or I'm carrying a phone which has got best of the feature. So intangible thing, which you can only feel, which you can only sense, you cannot touch it. The goodwill factor. So brand is combination of both tangible as well as intangible. So here we are talking about brand name as heuristic. Obviously, if I am a brand conscious consumer, I would only go for brands. I will not go and buy a general or a generic thing. I want to wear a jeans or wear a shirt of particular brand. So the moment I see, or I will only visit an exclusive showroom of that brand because of whatever information, whatever learning experience I had. Maybe the brand suits me, or like it is well respected, it has got some status, some image. All these words, image, status. No, once we start reading brand management, then we'll talk about it. Or even in, let's say, a pantaloon showroom where they store multiple brands. But the moment I see my choice of brand, because again I have used it and I have got great feedback for that, I will go and buy that brand only. So this brand name becomes an heuristic or shortcut which brain has created again on the basis of your information. So we spoke about different kind of choices, there are different kinds of heuristics. Now, how marketing or market response to this heuristic, the belief they help you in terms of price, brand, belief system, and also the product, and that is a help, or that helps you to understand that which brand I should go for. Moving ahead, now if I have to summarize it, just give me a sec. If I have to talk about the choices I have to make out of this alternative thing, then I have got different choices which I make, and that is important, that is relevant. And also, if there are people who believe that consumer don't follow any process, any procedure while purchasing it, they are highly mistaken. Because government, I'm sorry, because a consumer, they have got rules and regulation, though, which will not be very much evident, but yes, the brain does the job and they help out in making the purchase. In this unit, we also spoke about different type of choices, heuristic choices, that what are the ways by which, again, I will explain heuristic, you all know. So how they help, and what are marketers' way to boost those heuristic approach. We just finished up. They believe in product signal, the brand, price, market belief. So these are the process by which marketeer also helps that heuristic approach or shortcut method which makes your brain work faster and more efficient in order to make a choice. So this is how the entire consumer behavior, if I have to say, follows. And here we have discussed the process of buying, starting with the problem recognition, and then so hence and so forth. So I hope this has given you all these 4 blocks consisting of 14-15 units. They have given you a fair idea of consumer behavior as a subject. So I would request you, besides these slides, I also request you to go through the study material which will help you to understand things in an in-depth way. Because obviously in this class we have got time limitation. So I cannot take you very in-depth, but still I have tried my best to give you a fair idea. But if you go through the study material, I am sure of it that you will have more pertinent information and you will be able to unearth or the finer nuances of consumer behavior as a subject. So today is our last class and we have finished up this subject called consumer behavior, which is very important in marketing subjects. So I would like to thank you, everyone, for joining in and being patient with this study. But before we say goodbye, again, always remember to go through your study material because that has got in depth information. And with my slide, whatever I have just taught you, that will help you to understand and to excel while you are studying. So, again, thank you so much. Thank you for joining in. Namaste.